compound interest problem because of the advertising of SaaS products. For anybody that doesn't know what a SaaS product is, that's a software as a service, SaaS. And all of these SaaS products tout or advertise that they solve a problem. And users, let's say business owners or people with businesses, they get, buy the advertising and then align with the SaaS product and then start to use it. We could say that QuickBooks Online is a SaaS product for accounting. That would be your finance. Or, there could be Wave users or FreshBooks, Xero. I tend to lean towards Xero just because I know that it does what it's supposed to. And I would say QuickBooks Online is a little bit indifferent to different things. However, its advertising is great, and it does seem to have the capacity to run a business the way that an owner wants, to a point. So if you imagine that you have only so many SaaS products inside your business that you use, and then you assemble them, whether or not they integrate with each other, and I would say that that's what I call play nice, or not, you're still using them, and you basically stack them all together, and that's your whole business these days, okay? Now, as far as like the deliverable on the other end, I was talking on Monday with Mike, that's basically one side of it, and then you have your business machine, which we'll say could be as easily as describing Google Chrome with a bunch of open tabs in the browser. I'm sure everybody that knows what I'm talking about knows what their desktop looks like these days. So if you think about it that way, and then you understand that most businesses use SaaS products, well, here's the thing. You can really, really narrow down how a business operates because there's only so many for each role in a business, for each corporate area or each responsibility or each task, let's say. Then you can go even further and say, well, how many different types of businesses are there? Right? Like, are there how many industries are there on the planet? How many businesses, how many markets, etc. And then you just go down. And this is where I'd like a whiteboard, but I was just going to do this for a little bit this way because it's a lot easier, but maybe next time I'll do a whiteboard. So now you have categories, right? And you just keep going down and you just disseminate until all of a sudden you're at certain markets in certain industries. And you have certain SaaS products that do certain things. Some of them are better in certain industries and some are better in others. Usually it's based on the size of the business. So the reason why I thought a good live video podcast would be the perfect business is just for that reason, that there are only certain decisions that you should be making. And so why not just go down that road? And we'll just talk about every single app, all the workflow and what it does and why you would want to use it. And then basically this would be like a talk show, have, maybe even CEOs of these SaaS products can come and talk about what the future of their product lies, whatever it is. There's so much to discuss because the thing that I would say, and I was shooting, recording video earlier last year and this year, I guess it was last year, testing the waters, and it was doing it while I was interviewing business owners, let's say. And I would say, to make it the easiest to describe, is it doesn't matter how many people I would talk to, they would never be using the application to the fullest extent that they could be. So that means that they need some supervision. And that's when I just turned that on in my mind, and I said, they need remote departments. They need someone they need an agency that basically partners with people that supervise each of the applications that they're not using properly. And I'll even I can just pull one out of the sky and say MailChimp, for example. Anybody out there that knows what MailChimp does would know that it makes the attempt to make things easy, like email campaigns, gets to be a pain because you have to do it so often and regular. And it's not only that, there's templates to edit, and it's just so many things that if you're not into it, you sign up, you start to use it, and then you either get bored, frustrated, or it just becomes monotonous because it's email campaign after email campaign. Not only that, you probably have to adjust the copy and the graphics, etc. You see where I'm going with this. If you had someone that was your remote department for, say, email campaigns, you could split marketing into many pieces. Let's say the email, social, And that would probably be like the easiest two, right? Your social media campaign and then your email campaign. But if you had someone, another business that was taking care of your MailChimp, you don't have to do it. You're just basically supplying the ideas when you want them to roll out. I would say that Shopify tries to do this as well, and they have a marketplace. However, once again, you probably want someone to be your supervisor for Shopify, which would be your remote department for your e-commerce. This is why the perfect business is awesome. There are only so many solutions. And by telling people what's under the hood, like basically building a model of the business, like which is what I'm going to do week in and week out here. I'm going to go through all the steps, workflows, and apps. We'll target certain industries. We'll replicate certain models in certain businesses. And then everybody learns something and makes the right choices, because there's only one thing that you want from your business. And if you know what that is, well, then you're only going to be using the mechanics and the engineering of all the things that already existed. Everybody uses except the right ones. And then if you require the services of, say, the automated method, well, we are the remote departments over here that share business intelligence. So the model can be built. That's what happens first. And then by means of what I found out was the weakness, which is no one's going to use all the apps the way that they're supposed to. That's where we come in. Now, let's talk about the idea of the strategy. So on Monday, when I was talking with Mike, I thought about the idea of how I was going to do an organic content machine, which is what this is. To me, an organic content machine is something that I don't have to think about, but I can just do. And I can just talk and record, turn off the iPhone, close the notebook, and then go back to something else. And the reason for the organic side is because I lose attention to these things just like anybody else, because my remote department problem is in content organization, because I'll go all over the place. So now I figured if I just keep it as something that I was doing in a story building exercise and story branding, it gets a lot easier. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tell you what's happening here, okay, which I thought was the easiest way to get into this. So when people say live video podcast, it could mean a lot of things. The way I look at it is I want to do everything at once, so I don't have to do it again. So I'm going to tell you what applications right now are active. So I have a MacBook Air here. It could be a Windows machine. It doesn't matter, but I prefer Apple. So I have a MacBook. And then I'm not using the camera that's in this phone, in the Mac right now. I'm using a second phone, my second iPhone, I call it, for the purpose of traveling and making it easy. So when I have this Pelican case that I have here that I can put in the trunk of the car, I can do a mobile live video podcast anywhere that I please, because I'm trying to advertise brick and mortar here, not needing a specific brick and mortar like shared workspaces, common areas and condos. I know it's COVID-19, but let's be honest, it's not easy to do certain things inside your condo because you're already there too often, and maybe you want to try something new somewhere else, or maybe it works better for you, like how this is working for me. I like to be kind of solitary when I do this stuff. So anyway, this software is called Camo, I believe. Yeah, it's Camo Studio, and it uses USB, so I can have a second camera here in the ring light. Why do I do that? Because I kind of like the height. And then as far as the microphone's concerned, this is a Shure MV7. If anybody knows what that is, it's a USB-powered and digital control, so it's very easy. Now, the software that I'm using is a web browsing, it's a web-based software package called Restream.io. Why do I use Restream? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It's the fact that it channels to all the places at the same time, like Twitch, YouTube, live streaming, Facebook Live, and Instagram Live, and I believe there's a few others. There's LinkedIn Live, but you have to apply for it, which I did, which I feel like that channel is a lot better for a lot of this stuff. Anyway, so all that's right here: ring light, the camera, the microphone. So when I do this, I go live, and then it saves to this application in the cloud called Restream. So then if I want to edit the video later, I can, or use it for other purposes. But because this is live, it gets saved to all those platforms already. When I hit end stream, they all end, and et cetera. Now, because I have that video there, what I can do is I can pull it out of Restream, and now it's saved there, but I can put it somewhere else. So that's where I drag it into Otter. Okay, it's otter.ai, and that's one of these applications that does a lot of things that I like to advertise. So Otter is like a voice meeting note converter for Teams, etc. You can put it on your iPhone and I think it's on Android as well. And then if you just record the meeting, it'll take all the notes for you, tell you who's speaking, do it in audio, convert it to text. Super handy. I use it for extracting the audio and the text that I say here. So now I have the ability after the live stream to pull out the audio and push it into Anchor.fm. Anchor.fm is where Spotify bought them. So that's how you can get a podcast up really quick. So I don't have to record again. That's why I wanted the mic, right? So that I don't have to record the audio again. So when I extract the audio, put it in Anchor.fm, it gets checked, and then it goes to Spotify. The Spotify page is public, obviously, so now you don't have to worry about that. And then the Otter, the reason why I use Otter is because it does keyword assembly, and it also extracts everything that I said, audio, it puts it into text. Now, I can just regurgitate that as a social post. So now you can see why all this stuff it takes a long time to put it together, but now my organic content machine is stream of consciousness, path of least resistance, and you can quote me on that. The idea is that I don't want to have to think of a tweet later. Yeah, or I don't want to have to think of a Facebook article posting later or something on LinkedIn later. I just want to do video, audio, extract what I already said. Convenience of all this is now I'm working with Google Doc that I put in the day that I do a shoot, what happened on it, disseminate it, and then I can look at what do I tag, hashtags, etc., all that. So that brings us up to here. So that you can understand that is how I have to be the content generator and the story brand, the storyteller, talk show host, whatever the hell you want to call me, all easily packed up in a Pelican case and thrown in the trunk of a car. So now, for me, because I already have remote departments working with the automated method, and they're just basically, all those people have these talents, and these are other businesses, etc., I just have to tell the story. So the story I thought of was the perfect business. Because it's about time. I'm sick of all these arguments, these workflow things. People have these, they think they have shortcuts and tweaks, and they don't work. And then they also think that they're using the applications in the advanced level, and they're not. And so I always say that they're losing time, and they're losing money, and they're losing operational cost. Everything is a loss. You can't, and it's that quote that is always said to me, and everybody knows that you can't manage what you don't monitor, right? And so that's like where this comes in. Let's monitor and manage everything. And then you might be able to do crazy things like scale back your workforce if that's something you wanted to do, because maybe you have some overlapping, workflows and operations. I know I hate saying that, but I don't have a choice. That's probably why you're doing most of the SaaS product supervision and implementation yourself, is because you are your own employee, or it's like you and a few people. And maybe you're delegating with email, and you should be using Slack or Microsoft Teams if you're the Microsoft environment. I know a lot of this stuff comes out really quickly, but I'm also going to start to put it into some other format that can be read later. And I just wanted to get this started because it's also very difficult for me to have a pattern such as this, but I figured if I shoot at the same time every week, it's easy to do. I just set the expectation and deliver. Pack it up and throw it in the trunk. Because when it's live, it's already there, right? You don't have to edit it. But I mean, I guess some people would be afraid of doing this live because then people are judging, etc. Who cares? So that when you think about what I just said, you can imagine that there's a very, very high chance that by learning this stuff, you can make money by saving money and make time by saving time and convert that time into money or whatever you want. I don't care. I don't know what you want your business to do, but I'm sure somewhere along the lines you want to do as little as you can of what you don't want to do and as much as you can of what you do want to do. And it's possible, but we just have to figure out all of those pieces in assembly first. And when you do that, it's a savings like you have no idea. And then the best part about this is projections too, which I mentioned on Monday. Projections, I think that, I'm going to be honest here. I think one of the problems that I feel makes me extremely angry about the advertising of SaaS products is exactly that. They advertise that they are the only solution. And then when you start putting them together, multiple tabs in Google Chrome, what happens is you now have to be this administrator and this user of each tab. And then if you're not really that type of person, maybe that's not your personality to be in front of your computer 24/7 doing all these things while you're your story brand, while you're posting to Facebook and Twitter, and you can just so many things. Well, what happens is they didn't advertise like right around the beginning of, pandemic, quarantine, COVID-19's, protocols and stuff, they didn't really advertise that, there's going to be a lot of changes that you're going to have to adapt really quickly, and also that they can offer you business intelligence inside their dashboard if you use the software properly. And if they would have done that a little bit more forward, instead of just, hey, use us, we're the best at doing this, if they would have mentioned the business intelligence, then a lot of businesses may have learned something during quarantine. I'm sure a lot have, yes, but I'm talking like a lot more. Would have learned a lot more during quarantine. And there are a lot of people, podcasts, and a lot of newsletters that come out from the SaaS World channels, etc. But I mean, really, really, really have dedicated channels to this idea of predicting the future using their applications in conjunction of other applications. Because a lot of people wouldn't have just stopped operation of their business. They would have been able to look at a dashboard that would have given them the data that they could pivot or agile, as they say, move organically with the market and the changes in it. And that means that the businesses that, if they would have taken that on during quarantine, they might have stood a better chance during these times. And that's what frustrates me, because it took myself now that long to realize during quarantine that the unknown was that you need supervision. First, you need the apps to be selected for you, curated. That's what I call the app stack. Model the business, model all the integrations. But you also need to figure out your finances. You have to talk to a modern accountant, and you have to have a modern bookkeeper that doesn't say, oh, we don't need to use this or that. No, you need to use you want to use everything. You want to use everything. And especially if someone else is doing it, just make them do it. And they probably want to as well, because they can prove to you that your business has so much more power and energy than you could prove to yourself. Maybe. Like I said, there's some advanced users out there. But the financial side is the side that I always concentrate on a lot. Yes, marketing is a lot as well, because a lot of people don't really know what to do with their website or their social campaigns or their socials. But let's say the finances. If you want to make it easy, that's why you just figure out what you want your business to do. And you can actually say things like, I want to do net plus 5 million in 1 year. Now, if that's what you say, we work backwards. Because of all these formulas and how you can just process everything, we can kind of figure out ROI, what's your injection, what do you need to put into the business first for it to have this operational cost later. But you need to know that. And that's why I feel like a lot of this SaaS world was just making operations fun. Who doesn't want to open up HubSpot, and be in it and stare at it all day? Yes, I mean, it is interesting to see the dashboard, but let's say your pipeline, et cetera, I'm only looking at it because I want to see where to move, potentials and new clients, et cetera, inside the pipeline. Did I already communicate with them? Are they at the next phase? Are they at the next phase? And a lot of this is done automatically, right? And so pipeline movement, sales pipeline movement, is probably, for me, I enjoy it. Someone might not. So that's where you have someone else do that, right? But that kind of thing is that where they think that you're enjoying using the app all day, I feel like that's where there's a loss. It's not really that much fun for a lot of people. I think that there are people that really like Slack, and they really enjoy this coordination. And of course, Zoom, just because also Zoom was making people not feel as lonely. They could actually see other people on a camera. There's a lot of things that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to try not to go all over the place. But the perfect business to me, hold on a second, I got to turn these lights back on. Doesn't matter, ring light. The perfect business for me is as operations as tight as possible. Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, the business makes as much money or time that you want as possible. And it's not impossible. It's just, like I said, curation and proper selection of certain things and workflow. That's where experience comes in, is in workflow. You just interview someone like yourself as a business owner, and you find out what you do day to day, and you find out what you do not like doing and how long it takes you. You find out what you do like to do and how to get you to do more of that. Because chances are, if we can get you to do more of what you like to do, well, then you're going to have more of this energy, this potential to inject back into your business. And it's not as difficult. That's how this is. For me, the perfect business does exist. Some people will think that it's very provocative for me to say that. Oh, so what? That's what this is. This is going to be like an open forum, right? I'm going to start to mention more of the SaaS products, but I just wanted to kind of generally touch on that. And that's where I'm going to go with this for today. Mike Wanup, by the way, I didn't mention him as much as I should have while I was talking to him. Some people asked me later and they texted me, they said, who are you talking to? And I was like, Mike Wanup he damn well is going to be probably the best chief marketing officer I know, because he really looks at it from the perspective of what's the deficiency in the owner's perspective that can be extracted from their mind, and then we can put like the machine to work. And that's where like vision and all those and mission statement and stuff like that people maybe, I think that part of the reason why people don't have a business plan, or they don't have a mission statement, or they don't have even like a vision line, like even like just written down somewhere, is either A, they didn't know, and there, a lot of people aren't very good writers, and so sometimes it's difficult to get that expression across, and you feel like you're just going to Google someone else's mission statement and copy and paste it for your own, change a couple words. But what I feel like it is too is it doesn't feel, it's almost like how some people aren't good salespeople because they feel like they're soliciting. So people that are soliciting, they feel like they're doing an injustice to the buyer. And the buyer, basically, they feel like they're manipulating them, etc. And I have no idea why the lights keep turning off, but it's because I'm not near the sensor. But I'm going to say that in terms of like mission statement and visions, that kind of stuff, it's because I think it's cheesy to you to write that down. Right? Like, I think even a business plan, it's beyond the capacity of your understanding sometimes. Like, why would I want to have these false projections? I don't even know what my business does yet. And I'll be honest, when I did my business plan for the automated method, I did have to look at some of those fields to type in answers. And it's hard because I don't know how big I wanted to get or how much I wanted the business to make at the end of the year, et cetera. But those are questions in a business plan. Now, just kind of put those together through with consultants, what happens is it's a lot easier to kind of extract that vision from your business, with the projections in mind, and then maybe the mission statement and that stuff kind of comes to you. But I do feel for people because it is like hard to do. It isn't easy. You probably roll to the side where you're like, well, the business, I know how the business operates and what I'm doing. I know what the deliverable is. I know what the service is and the product is. I know what I want the brand to feel like, and then just start, right? And then if you don't have something to refer to all the time, and that's why you need these things, because you can refer to them and they will motivate you to go to the next level, because you won't let yourself down, because you'll be like, wow, that's not my mission. My mission is this, and I want to get it done by now.